turn to personal attacks. Hypocrite, you began personal attacks. When he said, "You talking like a woke leapdog from India is..." And what I say about you is the proven truth, such as that you are a fanatic. That's not even that offensive. Grow a spine. You're rationally clinging to a patriotic lie that India is and always was number one. Anyone who knows history knows that India is in China's shadow, and during the age of exploration, in Iberia's. Also, India didn't exist until Britain made it. It used to be divided, even when the Mauryas had most of it together. They never had all of it. You pretend you were always united, even though the history of India is the history of Indias, plural. Kingdoms versus kingdoms. Ideas versus ideas. Lies versus lies. Liars versus liars. That's your history. And also Spanish history. You cannot use your brain to understand or think about my point. Instead, resort to irrational tantrum like a generic woke libtard. The brain is not the mind. That's an atheist assumption, confusing correlation with causation. Anyway, you haven't proven anything I said is rational. I don't have a tantrum. You have been using capital letters more than me, I think. You're more emotional here than me. I originally laughed. So you have the tantrum, not me. I'm not a libtard. Your country presumably says slavery is wrong. That's what liberals say. You are a liberal then. Not on everything though. Entertaining tantrum, but sadly it had no intellectual value. Because you say so isn't a valid argument. It's petitio principii, another fallacy in a list of errors, pretending to be laughing when you're obviously very angry with the tantrum. Because your satanic religion has been exposed, and your attempts to defend it have been futile, and sad and hypocritical. The Indus Valley civilization, along with ancient Greek, is the root of all Indo-European history, including your Iberian land. Greece, and through them Iberians, got what they did, mostly from Western Asians, such as Phoenicians and Sumerians. Maybe Indians provided the zero to Europeans via Arabs, but Mayans got the zero without India. When I say India, I mean a divided India, since it was never united until British barbarians put you in one basket. Trade ties with Sumerian. Red herring fallacy. This doesn't prove you were always contemporaries. Eventually getting to trade with them doesn't mean you always did. The reason Persia rose later than Assyria is that Persians settled after the Mesopotamians were already settled. The Mesopotamians had a head start over everyone else, and Indians were further east than Persians, so they were even more late to the civilization game. Cosmology. Like the regurgitated Hindus' cosmology called the Big Bang myth, which I did videos proving never happened. But unlike this Vidar civilization, we moved throughout the Indian subcontinent. My video on kangaroos from Noah's Ark covers also how India was never separate from the rest of Asia. It's not a subcontinent other than as a distinct region of the same continent that was always attached to. Having been wrong for longer than others isn't a good thing, Abdul. Oh, that's right, you hate Arabs. Suck deep might be your name. And stood the test of time. The practice of murdering women so they can follow their husband in the next life, or murdering beef lovers, has continued most unfortunately. That's called failing the test of time. Even with many centuries, you never grow up from that backwards mentality. Prosper to this day as we always did. The rich prosper until they die and go to hell, or also until other rich people come to get rid of them, like Muslims, replacing the rich tyrants with Muslim rich tyrants. The poor in India have always suffered, and Hinduism has always been there to blame them for it, because it's slanderous and evil and ridiculous. Get rid of Hinduism. It's just pointing at Indians and laughing at them. And it's also enabling you to keep your position. Oh, of course, that's why it persists. For the greedy to continue their monopolies and such, and their oppression, and their getting away with rape, until God burns them forever, of course. However, the people of Ebros River, lost their Greek lineage. We original Spaniards don't have a Greek lineage, although Greeks are close brothers, just like Latins. I saw a video of the gods of ancient Iberians. They were utterly demonic looking. Glad my people stopped that shit. Sad my people are corrupted with counterfeits of Christianity, like Catholicism and Protestant counterfeits, and liberal shit and atheism. I am humble enough to admit that my people are deceived, but you are proud. Is pride a virtue in Hinduism? I did not like this. I don't know who did. And started worshipping and following the way of life of their invaders. Just like Aryans adopted the religion of the Dravidians, many Indians follow the ways of others. We are using computers Brits and others are to thank for. And the Brits did it because my people expanded their horizons, they followed us, and then that triggered them into new discoveries, into different fields. of knowledge. Incestuous European royals, because Indian royals never have committed incest, hypocrite. And then conquered the whole world, only to lose it to the British. Says an Indian. Yes, Europeans beat Europeans, albeit by Masonic collusion. It was an act. Indians didn't do that. Also, Hitler freed India by bankrupting the Brits. Gandhi didn't. See my video on that. Indians couldn't do that. My British cousins stomped their will in your lands for a long time. They did as they pleased, and your proud people were humiliated, being totally incapable of doing anything about it. Your mind is mentally colonized by the British. You still believe their black legend propaganda of anti-Spanish narratives. The anti-Spanish narrative. The Spanish Emperor let the British win, which I proved in my series. He sabotaged the Armada on purpose. He was serving the Templar cause of the New World Order, and Masons are advancing to this day. Your superficial Disney-esque parental guidance version of history is for gullible children. Bonds of the European Union, which itself is a meat shield for the USA against Russia. Yeah, again, I hate modern Spain. You don't understand me. You don't pay attention. Regardless of how much you brag, if someone says you're a liar and you deny it, are you bragging of your honesty? I'm just defending my people from those who belittle us as you do in your willful ignorance. You said the Spanish were nothing. You said you looked down on us. So I showed you how you cannot look down on people who have more glory than you in recent history. You're a European who looks like an Arab. Indians look more like Arabs. They're even dark by birth like Arabs, except the Aryan Indians who dominate the native Indians. Which one you are afraid to say cowardice is a virtue in Hinduism, whose life is a product of many dead civilizations. To an extent, yes, just like you, hypocrite. But you know what? If my life were just a product of the past, I would be a Protestant just like my parents, but I excommunicated my parents. I think for myself. No, the past doesn't dictate my life. It influences it, that is all. Fanatically worship. I have no fanaticism which requires irrationality, which he is guilty of having. You have never proven this, but you have proven that you are a Hindu fanatic. I already proved the Bible right, and you turn a blind eye to the prophecy, hitting the bullseye centuries ahead of time, with details such as Europe will use great iron, aka steel, to conquer the world. God hates you because you love lies and injustice. Repent or burn forever. I want him to repent. I want him to live forever, not to burn, so I'm helping him. But of course he might take offense and not see my intention. A foreign, you're a narcissist who says only your people can have the truth. And since he says he's rich, he's probably a white Indian, which means he's probably the foreigner. He's an Aryan whose ancestors invaded India during the Bronze Age collapse and took over Dravidian lands. I pity you, Ibrahim. Many people would rather live in Spain than India, including most Indians. This is southeastern Spain. Who would want to be there? Many people, including most Indians, as opposed to if they had this as the alternative, India. Wow, man. You don't respect your country, but you boast in your country being number one? If your country is number one, clean up that shit. Fun fact, he says. Fun fact, eye surgery, Sushruta Samhita, was also practiced in ancient India before nature began to exist. I'm a young earth creationist. See my series Crushing Atheist Myths where I prove their dates wrong. I'd rather be the nation that first went around the world, Spain, than the nation who had some guy stick cow shit in another's eye. Hindus believe cow refuse has great value. They even drink it. I think a cow can make better arguments than you. This is Hinduism. This is disgusting. Your religion is Zoroastrian-based, offshoot of Hinduism. Zoroastrianism is monotheistic, not a polytheistic mess like Hinduism. You don't even know how many gods you have. For crying out loud. I saw a picture of a guy who worships a statue of Donald Trump. How low can you go? Zoroastrians worship fire. They are idolaters. They will deny doing this, but actions speak louder than words. The Torah forbids that. So the Torah didn't come from Zoroastrianism. It's anti-Zoroastrian. Also, the Torah forbids using images to worship God or bowing to them. If a Jew bowed to the angelic figures of the Ark of the Covenant, that Jew would have been executed for idolatry. The cherubs were not the focal point, but flanked and faced that point. I think they were cherubs. They're different types of angels. Wise men that blessed Jesus were Zoroastrian. Yes, Zoroastrians had more light than other pagans. They knew better, but they still had some bad teachings. I like how you cherry-picked some Hindu people who have their own difference as whole of religion. I didn't cherry-pick. All of your Hindu society tolerates them, was my point. Not that they all practice the same thing, but that they tolerate the people who eat human flesh. It's not that they have a deviation. It's that it's an accepted way of life. Cannibalism, disgusting. And I didn't say all Hindus eat human flesh. I know there are many hypocrite Hindus like you who cherry-pick only some things as being divine. Your God brings you into this world as a sinner. No, you once again show you don't even understand my religion. You have blind prejudice. You're like a drunkard punching in the darkness, always missing. Pleading for his mercy like an oppressed slave. You have not proven any oppression in my religion. Getting mercy from God is great, not oppression. You know nothing. You're a hypocrite cherry-picking what is divine. The Hindus who eat human flesh are better Hindus than this guy because they know that Hinduism says corpses are divine. They are also a manifestation of the ultimate reality, like poop. Poop is part of the world, not the soul. So no poop God. More cherry-picking, more special pleading. Soul is a red herring fallacy. It's a distraction and irrelevant. Your satanic cult says that all is a manifestation of the divine, including soulless, dead bodies and crap, so your excuse doesn't work. Microbes live within all living things. It's only that attack us are destroyed in our self-defense. You said only the ones who attack us, but that's a lie. Many innocent microbes, harmless to us, are burned alive in your acidic gut. And you vegans refuse, and vegetarians, you refuse to stop the genocide in your body by killing your one human life in order to save millions. You value human life above animal life, you hypocrites. So your cow cult says Hindus like you murder your relatives who are reincarnated as microbes and found themselves in the wrong part of your body at the wrong time. What a ridiculous delusion you fell for. Yes, you do need to know something is wrong before knowing about it. Is this sarcasm? You didn't answer this, and I'm done reading your responses after this round because you're afraid of my challenges more often than not, so I checkmated you several times over. I like that you ran away from my argument proving that you never beat Alexander the Great. It's tacit admission of failure. You also ran from this. Hinduism makes God out to be insane, always fighting himself if all were his manifestation. So Muhammad is a manifestation of God according to Hinduism. And he fought polytheists, even though he worshipped a cube of Satan, being an idolater also. See my series, Islam was invented by the Jews. So Hinduism says the Hindu gods fight the Hindu gods. Why are you going to worship them when they don't even accept themselves? They want to kill each other. The Hinduism is anti itself. It's retarded. India and Spain will one day cease to exist, but God's words will never pass away. Truth hurts. Repent or perish.